Hi everyone, I'm here to show you how to work with double pointed needles. I am using size 19, 15 millimeter wood ones. Sorry, I am horrible at making YouTube videos. So let's start. You have your tail, your working yarn. We're going to make the slip knot, right? There you go. There's a video for that and casting on if you need help with that. I'm going to try my best to stay in the camera and all that jazz. All right, so we're going to cast on 7 stitches and we're going to use 4 needles. And the 5th needle is used for your working needle. So that's why we're not going to cast onto that one. So let's start. 7 stitches on each needle. Here's stitch 1 and needle number 1. Okay, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't get intimidated with needle number 2. Needle number 1 is the kind of icebreaker. I don't think I made a long enough tail, but we're going to try anyway. Needle number 2, take needle number 2, drop, can you see? Drop needle number 1, just like that, and keep your cast on position, okay? Just cast on, focus on your casting on fingers and your needle number 2. That's all. Don't worry about needle number 1. He's just gonna hang out there and chill. And hold your first stitch. You got 1 stitch on already. 1. So 2. It's awkward. 3. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. Keep the tension tighter on your first round. This way, you know, they kind of stay on a little tighter. So yeah, so look, you've got 2. So here's your second needle. We're only going to do 4, so we're halfway there. Don't give up. Take your 3rd needle, right? I got all this stuff over here. And focus on your 3rd needle and you're casting on fingers. Don't worry, let these guys hang out. If you have trouble and they're like sliding and it's annoying, we'll try to lay them on the table and work close to your table. Keep your fingers on top of this while you're casting on. All right, so here we go. 7 stitches. Pull it tighter. 1, 2, 6 and 7. Here we go. Look, needle number 3. You only got 1 more left to get through the hard part of casting on. Look, they're not going to go anywhere. I promise, you know. I promise. You can keep them in the middle. It helps, you know, you feel a little better that they're not going to slide off the needle. Yeah. So let's take your 4th needle. I hope the light's okay. The sun is going in and out. Again, lay them on your table. Use your table like a little helper, kind of. And take, you know, focus on your needle and your fingers and just focus on casting on. That's all you're worried about right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we cast it on. Look at that. You should be very proud of yourself. And look at me. I just made it with my tail. Okay. So now you have 4 needles, right? They're all kind of hanging out in their own way. Kind of shape it into a square on your table again. I always like to use my table. Like a square, just so you get a feel for it. And in your square, you're going to put your cast on edge. See that beautiful cast on edge? I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. All on the inside, right? So inside, 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 inside. You don't want it like that or twisted. You know, you want to make sure you get it nice and flowing. You know, look at the needles. You can see like a little train track or something. Also, just a tip, because I always do it, make sure you don't knit your first needle, needle with your tail. I do it all the time. So, all right, so you have, this is going to be your first needle. If you wanted to add a stitch marker, you're going to knit your first stitch and add the stitch marker, and then knit your second stitch off the first needle, so you know where your beginning of the round is. You can also just knit and use your tail for the first round, so you could see that your tail is going to have your, you know, it's going to be on your fourth needle, so that's your last stitch. Totally up to you. I tend to not add the stitch marker until after I get a little fabric going. Anyway, talking too much. All right, let's do the first stitch. So you have, you know, your working yarn always in your right hand. You have it in a square. You're going to slide it in. If you need to keep it laying on the table, you could do that. Wrap it around as if to knit, just a knit stitch. Boom. Look at that. Take it off. You did it. Put your needle in your second stitch and hold it. You see where I'm holding it with my finger? I don't know. And tighten this. So pull your yarn a little bit and then knit your second stitch. So it kind of pulls everything together. It's awkward. Here you go. Second stitch. But it kind of tightens it up. That's the tail. It always gets, you know, shoves itself in there somehow. Okay, so let's keep focusing on your working needle and your needle number 1. That's all you have to worry about. Try and stay on top of those 3 needles. Leave them underneath and keep these on top. So it's like you're just knitting regular, all right? And get those 7 stitches off your first needle. That's all you have to worry about at the moment. Don't worry about how the other needles are flopping around. Just keep going. Here's your last stitch. Look, 7 stitches. Boom, done. There you go. Okay, now take your second needle, move it on top. So now you're always going to have 3 hanging out. Second needle, you did your first. Here's your yarn. That's how you know, because your yarn is there. Slide your stitches to prepare to knit on your second needle with your working needle. Take your yarn, make sure you're above this. You're not like looping it around and all that jazz. Can you see? Okay. And just kind of wrap it around and focus again. Just your working needle into and your second needle into the second stitch. Pull it tighter. Hold on to that. Wrap it around in your second. And hold it, and just 7 stitches. Boom. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know how to knit. If not, there's a video for that. Totally feel free. There's millions of them out there too, if mine is terrible. Sorry about that. Just starting out. All right. So now look, you did 2 needles. Put it under 1 needle, 2 needles. See that? Look how beautiful you're knitting. Can you see it? Oh. Okay. Third needle, continue. Slide your stitches to the middle on your second. Slide your stitches. Put your third needle on top and slide your stitches to start knitting. Insert for the first stitch. Make sure your yarn doesn't get tangled in there. It's a little confusing. Nice and clean. You see it? Oh, geez. Nope, you didn't see that. Okay. So you have it here, and your yarn is here. And you want to just come straight around. Like that. 1, and do your 7 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's a little awkward, but again, lay it on your table if you feel like you're getting, good. Last needle, and then you made it on your first round, and then it only gets easier from here. promise. Because you start building fabric and it gets easier to manage. Again, insert, put the needle behind, bring your yarn, like this, and bring your yarn between, you know, just to knit. Everything is fixable, don't worry if you make a mistake. Pull it tight, second stitch. Keep knitting. Almost there, almost to the end. When you get to your last stitch, it's going to be the one with the tail, and it's a little bit floppy. It just is, look. That's how mine is all the time. So when you wrap that last stitch, you know, just be careful. Take your needle out and take your tail and pull it tight. And look at you. You did your first round. Now you're going to have a gap here. Don't panic. Can you see? Here, let me. There. You see that gap? That's okay, because as you keep building your fabric all around, it's going to be fine, and it's going to close up. Then you're going to have this tail in the end to weave in and tie, you know, you'll sew in your end and it will tie it right together, nice and neat. Okay, so don't panic about that. The tail is gonna take care of that. Again, you're gonna start your second round. So this, if you wanted to add your stitch marker, this is your first needle. The tail one is your last needle, your fourth. So yeah, so you just continue around and around, and it's only the knit stitch, and you're going to get a beautiful knit stitch. No garter stitch, even though that's beautiful too. Into your second stitch, pull this tighter to pull it together, and then knit your second stitch. Off your first needle, still on your first needle. Sorry if I held that. It's a little, right? You're going to just continue all around. And say you're going to add more stitches. You can make a cowl and just keep continuing all around. Or for this is a hat with the chunky yarn. You're going to do your 7 stitches. You're going to knit about, you know, X amount of rows and then start with your decreases. But yeah, I think I'm trying to keep it simple. I don't know if I'm missing the mark. I hope not. I wish you luck. Just keep knitting. Second needle. Right. We're knitting. I'm trying to hold it to the camera. My camera setup kind of changed, so it's not working the other way. So yeah, so here you go. So you have your cast on edge, your first row, see the V, and then your second row. Okay, this will be your third row, but it's not there yet. Okay, good luck. I hope this helped. I know it's not the best, but leave me a comment, let me know.